Yes, people, welcome to Lead Judges TV. I'm on my own at the moment. Lead Judges is joining me, I promise you. But for the time being, I'm on my own and I'm your host, Dan Potts. Loads of you in the chat. Good evening to you all. Over 100 already, 150. It's rising up, watching live. Get your comments in the chat. I'm going to try and put as many as I can up. But Lee's just literally finishing up, whatever that means. I don't know if that means he's finishing up with another podcast, or if he's finishing up with his dinner, or if he's finishing up doing his hair. But he will be here, I promise you. Guys, we're going to get straight into it. Yesterday was abysmal. Yesterday was a shambles. But let's start with some positives. We were back in the ground. We were back in the pubs. We were back in the social side of things, and everybody was happy to see each other. Obviously, I went to Brentford last weekend, which was shambles of 90 minutes, and nothing really changed for the Chelsea game. But one good positive was we did get to go and have a chat with the boys, meet up with the boys and girls, have a drink early doors, watch some of the football on the TV, which was not bad, really. Man United and Southampton, who got a draw. And then, of course, it was all about Arsenal. But before Lee comes on, I just wanted to round up a little bit of where we are. Let's forget yesterday just for 1 minute. Let's not talk about the result just yet until Lee comes on, because trust me, we'll get right into that. But what I wanted to say was this: from top to bottom with this club, I've had enough of them. And the reason I say that is not just because of yesterday's result, not just because yesterday's performance was poor, not because I've had enough of this manager and this board and this ownership, but top to bottom, I'm seeing a club that's now unrecognizable. And it's very, very worrying. And it goes from a culmination. There's not one specific problem at the moment with this club. I think on the pitch, Mikel Arteta has a lot to answer for, in my opinion. But actually, when you look at the ownership and what else is happening outside, and also a section of the fan base, which I think has to take some of the responsibility to where we are currently, I think we're an absolute mess, top to bottom. It's sad because I was kind of spoilt when I grew up. Yeah, I grew up in the late 80s and I recognized Arsenal Football Club as the club I wanted to support when we signed Ian Wright back in 1992. And then I saw absolute beautiful football when Arsene Wenger took over. I'd already seen some success and great football with George Graham. But actually, when I look at the mess we're in now, I think this is one of the worst times I've ever supported Arsenal Football Club. And I actually got to a stage in the ground where I look round now and I think this stadium used to be pristine. It used to be beautiful. The ownership have neglected and had no care in this club. And I'm now seeing seats that are now pink. I'm now seeing seats that have no numbers on them because you can't read them. Some of the row numbers are just washed down. They've not maintained this beautiful ground. Now, the pitch still looks fantastic. And I must say, yesterday, the groundsman deserves a lot of credit because it was like a carpet and a snooker table. But actually, when I look at this stadium now and I look at the ground and where we are, I think this is aged. And people will say, well, of course it has. It's 15 years old. My house is definitely more than 15 years old, but it's not a crumbling away like this stadium because I've maintained it. I don't think we've spent any money on maintaining this stadium. So if I've got an owner who doesn't care about how we look and how our stadium looks, why am I going to trust this process of ownership in 15 years of abandoned and neglected the care of a football club? Not just the way that we're playing, but the way that we look. It's going down and down and down. I left the ground yesterday with my parents. My mum says to me, lads, you've got something stuck to your backside. What is it? I thought she was mucking around. I got home. Do you know what it was? It was something red on my backside. It was the seat. My seat, well, parts of it were stuck to my backside and my dad's because it has been that bad and that long that they've been maintained that the seats are now crumbling. So we're in an absolute mess top to bottom. And I've not even got to the stuff that's happening on the pitch yet. That's just the way that we look from the outset. That's the way that this ownership has left and neglected a football club that all of us in this chat love. I see a situation right now that does nothing but sadden me. I'm so deflated. I should be looking forward to the season. I should be looking to get forward to these games, getting back into the grounds. It was brilliant up until I entered the stadium and watched that football game. I got into the concourse and the beers must be cheap because the stadiums are looking pretty faded and pretty wear and tear. The beers are now £6.20, guys. Last time I'm sure they were about £5.50. They've gone up again. Merchandise is still going up. really, really, really expensive to buy new shirts. And I'm not one of these people that says stop buying kits, because why should we? We're an Arsenal fan. I bought the new kit, the new away kit this season, and people say that's a shambles. You can't buy the kit and want Stan Kroenke out. So what do we do? Because whatever we try to do as a fan base, we're all against each other all the time, slating each other. We can never get to a united voice. Somebody wants to have their opinion on a Twitter or a podcast or AFTV or on any social media platform. Somebody will slate you. You want to unite as a fan base, but you can't because We Care Do You get slagged off. Ashburton Army gets slagged off. So does AFTV. Red Action try to do something, someone slates them. We all want Kroenke out. I imagine most people want Kroenke out. What are we actually doing about it? I'll tell you what we're doing. There was a protest yesterday at 3:00. Did anyone see it? Because I walked past it and there was nothing happening at all. Everybody standing around about wondering what the hell was going on. I had no understanding of what everybody wanted at this football club because Josh Kroenke was there and everyone was much more interested in getting into the ground early and getting the buy one, get one free beers. They did not want to protest at all. I spoke to Tom Canton from Gooner Talk TV outside. He wanted to do a bit of an interview with Football London with me. And he was saying to me, Dan, what do you think of the protest? It was embarrassing. There was people standing behind me on the roundabout, just all lost, thinking, where is this protest? What's going on? It was as if you got the memo wrong. It was as if it was like an invite that nobody would get through the post. It was just a myth. So that's what frustrates me, because the fans cannot unite. We got together against Everton in the evening. There was 6,000 people that all wanted Kroenke out. It was fantastic. It's the only time that I've ever seen the fans of Arsenal Football Club unite. Then the next game, we clapped the team bus into the ground. And then at Brighton, at the last game of last season, when Josh Kroenke was there, it rained, so nobody bothered. Or there was a few people that came out. And I was one in the pub at the time because I didn't have a ticket for the Brighton game. And I said, what's happening with the protest? What's going on? No one's there, Dan. It rains. No one's turned up. So we need to have one voice and keep coming back and keep coming back. And people are saying it's the wrong time. It's the wrong time. It's never the wrong time because these guys need to go. I am being joined by the one and only Mr. Lee Judges. Lee, how are you, bro?
I'm all right, thank you very much. I was feeling a bit better until you started talking there. Like, you know, it just makes it so much more depressing. But you know, can't argue with you, Dan. Can't argue with you. Like, it's tough watch at the moment. Like, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I listen. I think just a quickly thing on the process. I was just been talking about it. I didn't think it was the best. I think with a process, you've got to pick and choose your times. And like, you know, first game back, I think everybody was buzzing just to be back in the pubs and having a good time. It was a party atmosphere in the pubs, I felt yesterday. Like, everybody pleased to see each other. And people didn't really want to go and go to the process and all that because they was enjoying the moment, being back with their mates and things like that. So I feel that the protest has got to be looked at and planned a little bit better. And of course, they weren't getting, you know, when the last one, everybody was on the top, they weren't allowing you on the top. So that, you know, like the sort of like, I don't think it was nothing to do with like the process why they stopped it. It's protocols, and I think that it was just, I don't think it was planned properly. It was a little bit off the cuff, and on the back of a couple of big signings in the week as well. And I do think that makes a bit of a difference, Dan. I really do. I think fans want to see, you know, listen, if there was nobody, if no signings had been made and no money spent, there would have been like a lot more to it. But because there's some supporters, you know, feel that there are, we're just talking about it on there, you know, who do you actually blame at the moment? The owners are putting money in, and the fans are, you know, are divided on that. Is it Arteta's fault? Is it Kroenke's fault that the players that he's putting out and the tactics that he's putting out are not working? I'm going to say this now. I've had a day to digest it, sit down and everything there. And I do believe, and I have come around a little bit, that we had a lot of players out yesterday in the first team. So Partey will come back, of course. You know, Gabriel will come back. Ben White will come back in the team. So there's 3 players that are going to come back. Probably Aubameyang would come in there. So there are a couple of other players out, but are they going to get in the team or not? That's another thing. So I do think that, and I have to say this with Chelsea, very, very good team, Dan. Very, very good team. And
oh, yeah. Champions
they're
League winners.
likely going to win. But what it showed me today is that we're nowhere near competing with like the Chelsea. The Chelsea, it was like watching Arsenal 20 years ago. That was proper forwards, proper midfield players, and proper defenders. We haven't got that no more. We've not got. I don't think we've got. And I look at it and I think that we can blame Arteta to a certain degree, but what about the players? What about the players turning around after 20 minutes and saying, do you know what? I'm going to stay, like Tierney. No, I'm going to stay in here at left back. I'm going to sit here, let's sit and try and defend properly for 25 minutes. Where was someone, tactically or not, the ball going into Lukaku's feet? Why wasn't a midfield player standing in front of that, stopping that happening? But they continue to allow it to happen. Then he's turning and doing what, basically letting Lukaku doing what he likes. Someone said to me, how do you stop Lukaku? I said, you don't. You ain't going to be able to stop him, but what you can stop is the source, stop his supply line. There was no tactic there whatsoever to stop that. And that is not Kroenke's fault. That is the coach's fault. You know what I mean? And I just look at the tactics of the manager. He couldn't work that out. Couldn't find a game plan to stop that out. You just make sure you just put someone in front, stand in front of Lukaku if you have to, and just making it a little bit. Which made it easy for him. But if you're right, okay, you're going to neglect that side of it all then, because you're going to get players going forward and exciting football. I didn't see no exciting football going forward, Dan. I didn't see us looking like we was going to break them down. In fact, I'm going to say this now, the great to be back, because obviously you see different things. And two things that I see that are very, very worrying. One was that when things start going wrong, Mikel and his nodding donkeys go and look at a screen to find out what's going wrong. They can't use their own eyes to see what's going wrong. Well, I can tell you this now. Why don't they can come up and sit on my seat anytime they want, like, because I see what's going wrong. Right, you know what I mean? And I'm not as coached and as experienced as they are. Why they've got to go to and look on a screen to see what's going wrong, I don't know. There was one time the ball come over from a corner. I think it was the right back. I can't think who it was now. He's standing on his own. No one picking him up from a corner. A professional football, you know what I mean? 10, 15. What did they do? They went and had a look at the screen. You know, that isn't good enough for me, like, you know what I mean? And the second thing, the biggest worrying thing for me was the pathetic defending that I see for the second goal. And it was pathetic, by the way. For pathetic from who was ever in right, but Cedric was involved. I think that Xhaka was involved, and the comical thing from Holding, should he go, should he not? He should have just come in and took the ball out. Like, who did he have a go at? Mikel Arteta. Who did he come and have a go at? Nicola Pepe. That's who he had to come and had a go at. Do you know what I mean? Like, so I'm very, very worried about things here. Like, you know, yes, we didn't have our back, our normal back four in there, right? Yeah, that's and certainly if you look at it, Holding, Amaria, backup central defenders to what we have. You know, our main two are going to be Ben White and Gabriel. So what do you do then? What do you do? I'll tell you what you don't do. You don't get your left back flying up on the left-hand side, exposing the left-hand side of the defence, so that you can get crosses in that nobody goes and attacks and we don't score from. Like, I've seen Arsenal play this tactic twice in the last two games, never looked like scoring. Like, yeah. Then I see the back four, the back left-sided centre half being totally exposed. What you actually do is think, right, do you know what? We haven't got our strongest central defenders, right? What we'll do is we'll protect them. We'll make sure we stay solid. We won't have the left back gunning ho all the time, like, you know. And I'll tell you what, it's also like, Dan, another thing, like it's a game of guess who, innit? Get the old ball out. Guess who's going to be playing right back this week? Got four of them there, like one, you know. Well, it's your turn this week, like, you know what I mean, like, yeah. You know, next week it'll be your turn. You know what I mean? So you've got a coach that doesn't actually know what he's doing, what tactics he's got for his team. He doesn't know what his best team is. He doesn't know what his best right back. He's got four right backs. He doesn't know which one to choose from one week to the next, like, you know what I mean? And then you have a look at the midfield, and I'll say this now. I will say it now. The one thing that's really been impressive for me, the one highlight, the one plus, Lokonga looks absolutely a fantastic player. Really, really enjoyed him. But I'll tell you, as soon as Partey's out, I bet it's him that's left out.
Well, we'll come on to that. Trust me. I just want to put this quick super chat up from Guna Russ. If no one has already, go and follow Guna Russ 11 on Twitter. And if you haven't watched the video of me and Lee doing a little bit of modelling at Russ's house, then get yourself over there because it's quite light-hearted and quite funny. And I must say, very professional from Guna Russ. Russ, you're a legend. Thanks so much for your card donation, mate. Lee, I'll let you answer this one. Transfer windows, been a scattergun. Have we improved the first team dramatically? And the first team is in capitals for a reason, because I believe, Lee, that although 130 million has been spent, it's been spent on backups apart from Ben White. So is it good enough, mate?
No, it's been a poor showing, if I'll be honest. Like, you know, one thing it tells me is that they've got money to spend, because if you want to spend £30 million on a goalkeeper, or £24 million plus add-ons on a goalkeeper, what was his contribution yesterday? Didn't play. He's on the bench. What's his contribution going to be in the next game? On the bench. I'd rather see us go and buy a cheaper option in that point. I'm not knocking the goalkeeper, by the way. I'm just saying, and go and get in the areas that we need. Our bench and our goalkeeping bench does not need to be strengthened by 30 odd million. You know what I mean? Like, it does need to be strengthened, by the way. But again, diligent scouting, you could probably go and get a better goalkeeper than that. Like, you know, maybe one that's, you know, I look at Man United, they got 4, I think, and they, like, you know what I mean? Why couldn't we have gone and got somebody of that ilk? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, just to back up it all. Like, you know, I think Berkovic went to Everton on, like, you know, on a free transfer. You know, 1 or 2 cup games you might come in and, like, you know, and then if you need to buy a goalkeeper, go and do it in January. But ultimately, we have got serious problems in our midfield. And I you know, listening to Talk Sport today, you know, Basuma apparently was a beast again on the.
Oh, he was outstanding.
It was outstanding. When are we going to say that about Granit Xhaka? We should have gone in and got him. Like, I watched the game yesterday, and I see Martinelli sprinting 35 yards to the left, 35 yards to the right, 25 yards to the goalkeeper, sprinting back, getting into position and all that. Like, and one time he looked round, and our midfield is just standing there. I'm not having a gun because they're not working. It's just they haven't got the physicality to do that, Dan. They're not getting up and down. We need that, all of that. You know, if you're going to press from the front, that means the midfield have got to press on, and it also means the back 4 have got to press in. Now, I know that from one reason that the press is not going to really work, because if you're going to press from the front, the midfield is going to go on, and that means the defence has got to push right up. Now, with Gabriel and Ben White pushing right up, they've got the legs to get back. They've got pace to get back. Those 2 central defenders in Holding and Mari haven't got the pace, so you cannot press. So why press with just forwards, and then when it really matters, they're tired. I think, you know, Martinelli had 1 chance when he could have got in, but he's probably tired, because I'm not making excuses, but he's probably tired because of all the running that he's done. And when his moment comes, he's not physically at the peak power as he should be. Yeah, anybody who went into the game yesterday, look at Drogba. Like, I felt it was Drogba yesterday. Like, look at Lukaku yesterday.
Drogba. Yeah, I did.
Look at Lukaku yesterday. He didn't run more than 5-10 yards. 5 yards here, 5 yards. But when it mattered, he exploded into the box, made and took his chance. Then that's what I like to see, you know. And unfortunately, you're not seeing it. We're not seeing it from an attacking point of view. I've got to be honest now. I don't see. I sat there yesterday. I'm not a thick fan. I know when I can. I cannot see where we're going to score goals from. I don't see our policy of what we're going to score goals. And it seems to me like it's coming from Tierney, but that ain't going to happen. And, like, you know, in the end, Tierney is going to break down because he's running 60, 70 yards, getting back. Then he's doing it again. It's not working. And, you know, you're physically putting pressure on him for a tactic that doesn't work. I see Saka yesterday, or in all sorts of, wasn't at the races. Pepe, as much talent as he's got, was he playing? I don't blame these players, by the way. Martinelli, you know, like, didn't do nothing apart from work hard. I don't blame these players. I blame the system that they're in is not getting the best out of them, and that's down to the manager. It's down to the manager. and I don't see him getting the best out of players. One of the best players for Chelsea yesterday, by the way, Dan, was Alonso. He caused us all sorts of problems on the left-hand side. New managers come in and made him a better player. So he don't have to go out and spend 60, 70 million on a wide left back or whatever. He does. This guy can coach as well and make players better. And you know, I just see with Mikel Arteta, like, you know, yesterday, some real worrying signs. And I don't see him getting it back, Dan. The only way I can see him turning this around, because I'll be honest, I think that if Arsenal win 4 or 5 games, just to say, if they lose to Man City, they go and beat Norwich, beat Burnley, draw with Spurs, then they go and lose a couple of games, the fans will turn again. You know what I mean? Like, you know, what he needs to do is a big, big game. And I think Manchester City is a massive game. Go up there, somehow win that game, go into the international break with a couple of positive signings, and then you come in, you beat Norwich comfortably 3 or 4, you beat Burnley away 2 or 3, you then beat Spurs, and then you're on a roll. But it's going to be something of that ilk that's going to make players turn around, because I'm sorry, you know, you're going to lose to Man City, then you might beat Norwich, you might beat Burnley, and then you lose to Spurs. The fans, you know, it's not going to be there. It's got to have a consistent run of games. And someone was saying, which was a great point yesterday with Emery. Emery went 22 games unbeaten. And he, you know, whatever you want to say about that, like, you know what I mean? 22 games. I can't see Mikel Arteta getting to 5 or 6 with the way the system and everything's playing. Yeah. I don't see a system or a thing to say, do you know what? I watched Chelsea yesterday and you think, I watched them and I think they've got a great chance of winning the league. I said it before, I've seen them, I think they've got a great. I've watched them now and they've enhanced that. I'm watching Arsenal, I'm thinking, you know, I can't see us getting 2 or 3 wins together or whatever. I really can't. It's worrying.
It really is worrying. 700 people watching, 165 likes apparently. Please smash that up. That would be absolutely amazing for us. Thank you all for joining us. I hope you're not as depressed as us, but I know it's been a tough watch. The way I see it, Lee, is this. There's not one person to blame. There's a culmination. And that's what I was saying just before you joined me, was that I can't sit there and give 100% of the blame to everyone. But what I can, to one person. But what I can do is I can give the blame to what I see happening on the pitch right now, okay? Because I don't think these owners are going anywhere. The protest yesterday was a shambles. They don't seem to want to sell up. The board are novices who have been hired by him. They have a recruitment process that I find very, very baffling. Back in the day when Wenger was here, we signed Mustafi instead of Van Dijk, Xhaka instead of Kante. We keep in Granit Xhaka and we've not gone for Basuma, but we'll go to Brighton and offer him 50 million for their centre-half, who some say that we don't need. So the recruitment's very, very odd. Then I look at the manager, who again has been pointed by this owner, and he's clearly not ready. Now, you said something earlier, which I'm going to half agree with and half disagree with. We had players out, and Chelsea are a good side. Totally agree with that. What's frustrating me, Lee, is not the result. The performance frustrates me. If we lose, we lose a game, right? Lose a game of football. I've seen us go to So I see us go to Brentford, go down fighting. I see us go to Brentford and we lose and get bullied. Yeah? Didn't go down fighting, we got bullied. I see today Lukaku bullying, yesterday, I see Lukaku bullying Pablo Mari. The way we're losing these games are so frustrating. The tactics I was clueless with. Everybody told me it was going to be a back 3. Now, he started off as a 4-2-3-1. Actually, when we were in defensive, we were going with a back 3 of Granit Xhaka, which left an amazing amount of space in the midfield, with Lokonga, who I thought was probably one of our only bright sparks, left in the middle on his own. And actually, Chelsea weren't even using that space. They were leaving it because they didn't need to use that space, because they had Lukaku bullying Pablo Mari. Now, Jamie Carragher and Gary Neville did a great piece earlier on why Pablo Mari, they felt sorry for him. Not because, you know, he was actually playing quite well, because they said he just couldn't handle him. He could not handle Lukaku. Now, the reason that I agreed with what they were saying is because Jamie Carragher said that he could not handle Didier Drogba. He couldn't handle him. So what he had to do was he used to have to team up and double up, and he used to get help. They were all leaving Pablo Mari, throwing him under the bus. I didn't see Holding helping him out. I didn't see Granit Xhaka helping him out. I see Kieran Tierney getting confused quite a few times, who I thought was poor, and everyone knows I love him on his channel. Him and Saka, and I put that down to the manager, because the manager's now making Saka and Tierney look poor. So are they now crap players? Because that's all I hear. It's the players. It's the players. So are they now rubbish players as well? So we have to look at things realistically to see what was this manager trying to do. And nobody can tell me. I see no style of play, Lee. I've 18 months in. When I say this manager needs to go, all I get back is, it's only 2 games. It's only 2 games. Well, it's not, is it? Because he's been here for 18 months.
Yeah.
It's not 2 games. It's carried on from last season and the half that he had in the first season he was here. He's had 3 transfer windows to improve this squad. Most of the side, not all, of the side that played yesterday, he wants to keep. He loves Granit Xhaka in the middle. He wants Lokonga, who's his signing. He wants Pablo Mari. He wants Rob Holding. He's kept him. He wants Cedric. He's kept him and bought him. He wants Leno because he sold Martinez and he's kept Leno. He loves Tierney. He loves Saka. He loves Smith Rowe. He loves Martinelli, apparently. So is it now the players or is it this manager? And it does not matter who plays. This manager cannot get the best out of them. And I'm so surprised that fans still don't want to accept that. It's like it's such a bitter pill to swallow that you have to accept this guy's no good. They deny it. No, it's the players. It's the owner. It's also the manager as well, Lee. I look at this management stuff.
Got to agree. No. I'm a lot of nodding donkey. I totally agree. Like, you know what I mean? You could,
I honestly, I don't see how anyone can say that it is not. It was unbelievable to me yesterday to see a manager so lost. And I said it to Robbie and I said it to you. I think he's doing his best, Mikel Arteta, but his best is not good enough. And I think that's the best way to sum it up. And we have to accept that his best is not good enough. And we have to know that against Man City, it's going to be a horrible, horrible game. We've got West Brom before that, which if he loses, is going to be under even more pressure going into Norwich and Burnley, which, let's be honest, nobody's going to accept any less than 6 points out of those 2 games. Otherwise, we're going into the North London derby in a relegation battle against our absolute hated rivals. And if we lose that one, then I think personally, that is the game where we have to, as a fan base, say goodbye to this manager, because I don't care what anybody says, mate. Frank Lampard was poor. Frank Lampard was poor because the same team that Frank Lampard took over won the Champions League with an elite manager in Thomas Tuchel. So what can this team do with an elite manager? We don't know that yet. But I tell you what they can do, Lee. They can make us play better with a style. What is Arteta?
That is the thing.
What style he is.
No, there's a style. There's no style of play. But ultimately, what I see is he's not, and he's not getting the best out of the players that he's got. We're not. All the players are underperforming now. Listen, I see a lot of the problems in pre-season, but people will turn around and the Arteta people, calm yourself down. It's only pre-season. Calm yourself down. It's only pre-season. Now they've lost 2 games against Brentford and Chelsea. Well, we was expected to lose those games. Calm yourself down. We expected to lose, 3 against Man City as well. Like, you know what I mean? So that's it now. So what happens then is they have the international break, and then, if we win a couple of games, say against Norwich and Burnley, well, I told you it wasn't so bad. It wasn't so bad. And this is the problem we've got. But as soon as they lose a game, it's going to happen. Ultimately, what I think with Mikel Arteta and what he has taken away from me more than anything else, Dan, is hope. I went to that game yesterday with no expectations to win it. I didn't think we was going to win it. I said that, you know what I mean? But, how long I've always gone to Arsenal games thinking that we'd win games, Dan, you know what I mean? Like, even when we was, under Wenger, I used to get really, really angry because I looked at the players and I felt that we were going to win games of football. I look at our team at the moment yesterday, and yes, we had players missing, but, there's players that have people that, want holding in the team. You know what I mean? Like, everybody, there's a few people in with certain groups. Mari's a great central defender. Tierney should be captain of the Arsenal. Leno was the right choice over Martinez. A lot of the Arteta fans have said, like, So, Lukonga looks a very, very good player. One of the best players I've actually, 21-year-old, I'm really, really impressed with what I've seen with him. Hopefully he'll do really, really well. But I tell you what will happen, and as I'm sitting here, right, once Partey's back, it'll be Partey and Xhaka in the team. Lukonga will be left out. I look at the forward line. Is he getting the best out of Pepe? Is he getting the best out of Aubameyang? Is he getting the best out of any of the forwards? I think Saka, for me, is one of the players that, I think maybe not quite right with the Euros and whatever. But, Smith Rowe looks like a real decent player, but he needs help. We've got Odegaard coming back into the side. That help. That will help us. I don't care what anybody says. I think that he will help us. But we need to get our players back fit, and then we'll see what happens from there. But and I think that at the moment, Mikel, he's not silly. He's not a silly man. He's highlighting that to the press that we've got players out and the COVID and all that because he knows he's under pressure, and it is a little bit of an excuse. And it was a game changer yesterday. I'm not so sure if it was a penalty or not, Dan. You know what I mean? It could have changed things at 2-1. I think if he'd have given the penalty, VAR wouldn't have overturned it. I'll be honest. You know what I mean? And I've seen worse penalties given for that, by the way. So it just seems that there's always things that go against the Arsenal. You know what I mean? Like, as poor as we've been, I think that we could have had a penalty there. We should have had a goal disallowed for the foul on Leno last week. Not making excuses, we were still very, very poor in those games. But ultimately, I'm going, coming to the Met. I'm not confident going into the West Brom game. I'm not confident going into the, I'm actually saying I think we'll beat West Brom on Wednesday because West Brom have got, going for the title or promotion from the Championship, and I think they're rest players. I really do, and I think that will suit us. But if they played their full team, we're in for one hell of a game on Wednesday night, and then we go to Manchester City. And I'm telling you this now, Mikel Arteta don't want to be resting players for this game. We've got no Europe, so I don't want to be seeing all the resting of players. I want the best team available going out there on Wednesday night, and so it should be.
Yeah, and I'm totally with you, mate. And I think that now that we don't have Europe, we don't have any excuse to be resting players, mate. I do think he will. I think he will rotate on Wednesday night, and on his head be it if it doesn't go right for him, because it's another game, another trophy that will be out of early doors before any of the big clubs get anywhere near the later stages of it. So we have to take this seriously on Wednesday. And I honestly think, Lee, if we lose to West Brom and we lose to Man City, I don't think there's any coming back from it. I really don't. I think the owners have got to make the decision. There's a lot of rumours about the Telegraph tonight saying he's got 5 games. I think 5 games is too much, Lee. We're going to be in a situation 5 games where we could be second from bottom, third from bottom in the table if things don't go our way. And I think we need to try and act ASAP so that we can get the right guy in. Now, who that right guy in is, I don't know. Everybody says Antonio Conte. People say it's embarrassing to even think that we're going to be realistically going for somebody like Conte. So what's the next option? Maybe Ten Hag. He's a younger coach. He plays a style of attractive football at Ajax, and he's brought some of the young players through there and played quite attractive football. Some people say no, look closer to home. We've got Graham Potter playing brilliantly tactically for Brighton. He's done fantastically well, was brilliant over in Ostersund's, reloaded his trade, and he is now doing well at Brighton. People say Gasperini from Atalanta, very attractive style of football, and have done very, very well of late. My point here is, Lee, and why I'm throwing these names at you, is they've all got one thing in common. They've all managed a team before. That isn't the team they're at now. And we've got somebody who has been an assistant to one of the best coaches in the world, according to a lot of people. What has he learnt there? Because he's brought nothing across from Man City, in my opinion. He's brought no style of football. He's brought no attractive style of football. He's brought no attacking style of football. And he's definitely not got anything out of these team of players, whether it be the old team that won the FA Cup, whether it be the new team of now, or whether it be the newer team that we're still seeing being put into the club now. I don't have any faith when you say about players coming out that are being injured or suspended or that are sick at the moment. I don't think we're going to be any better with them, because I saw Partey last season in our midfield. We didn't look any better than we did yesterday. I've seen Aubameyang and Lacazette together with Pepe, and we didn't look any better than yesterday. So People are calling out for Balogun. People are calling out for Martinelli. People are calling out for Miguel Aziz in our midfield because they're so sick to death of Granit Xhaka. People want to see Lokonga playing. People want to see Ben White and what he's made of. But I've seen all these players and I don't see any difference with a style of football. So that's why I believe we need to get rid of this guy now. And I'm not having this. It's only 2 games. It's only 2 games. I've seen 2 months, nearly 2 years of this. And it's not got any better from start to finish.
No, I agree. I'm with you on this. Like, you know, I think that it should be. And like, you know, so there's just people saying in the chat that West Ham are winning 3-1. Have West Ham got better players than Arsenal? I don't think that they have, but what they have got is a manager that's got them organised, got them into a system, and playing some bloody good football. And this is a team, by the way, that people turn around and said, "Oh, they ain't going to be the same without Jesse Lingard. They won't, you know what I mean? Like blah 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 blah." You know, but he's a proper coach, proper man. We haven't got that. You know, I mean, like. I'm sorry, you know, we turned our nose up to David Moyes, you know what I mean, if I'll be honest, because that's what we're like. But we've accepted a novice coming into our club, and it's not his fault that he's out of his depth. I looked at him yesterday, you know, he's trying to make excuses all the time and trying to, you know, he's actually said something like, you know, like real fans believe in the process and, you know, and things like that. You know, listen. Don't mug me off, mate. Don't make me, you know. I do know what I'm watching, and what I'm watching, you're not. You're not. I'm not an idiot. You know what I mean? Like, and I'll tell you what. Not a lot of all those Arsenal fans are not idiots. They see what they're seeing, and it's not good enough, and it's not acceptable. Don't try and kid us with stupid stuff and things like that. Like, you know what I mean? So, I'm very, very disappointed that he could say that. I will say this.
This is a good point, Leela. If Arteta was at West Ham, would they be this good? I think that's a great point because I don't
think they would be. Of course, they wouldn't be. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, that you know, they've got a system and a style. Listen, there's a different pressure managing West Ham to Arsenal. Yeah, I get that, but ultimately, you know, he's still doing a very, very good job. You know, you've got a team at this moment in time at Arsenal that players are not performing for him for whatever reason. And listen, I don't agree with going around his car and shouting at him and things like that. I don't think that's right. But also, I don't agree when a fan goes up, shouts up to Edu, like, you know, you happy with what you're seeing on that? And Edu's wife sticks his middle finger up to the fan. Oh. You know what I mean? Like, what's all that? You know, that just shows you how much she thinks and what they actually think of the fans. You know what I mean? I think that's, you know, that's not on. That's not on, you know what I mean? She's sitting there on a freebie getting millions and millions of pounds, you know what I mean? Like, you know, the fella there spending £3,000-4,000 a year for his season ticket. You know, have a bit of respect. It works both ways. You know, yeah, you can come on platforms and you can go on whatever and you can go in the pubs and slag off the manager and whatever, like. But ultimately, you know, there's decorum. But it works both ways, Dan.
I want to bring this comment in because I think it's really important. Kind of going back and stripping it back to where things have potentially gone wrong over the years. But I think it's really important. It's come from Daniel Kay, who's actually a Chelsea fan. My view, it all started when Arsenal started selling their best players under Arsene Wenger. It shouldn't have been given big contracts, getting world-class players to boost the team more. That should have been your process. It's a Chelsea fan, and he says, respect Lee. Talk to me about this, Lee, because does it go back this far? Is this where we started to see a decline?
Well, we see a decline because of, you know, the stadium thing and all that. Like, you know, let's be honest. I watched Chelsea yesterday. A very, very good side. Spent a lot of money on that, but they've got world-class players all over the field. They've got some very, very good players that are coached into better players. Christensen, for instance, you know, since the new manager's come in, he's been outstanding. He's obviously being coached, and you know, like what I watched them yesterday, proper defenders. You know what I mean, like putting their bodies on the line, not pulling out of tackles, going through it, and everything like that. What I see with Arsenal is that when we left Highbury, we had 8 world-class players. You know, 7 world-class players, arguably more before in a couple of seasons before that. We haven't got one world-class player in our team now. Potentially, we've got good players, class players. There's not one world-class player in there. You know, we went from the Emirates, when we was at Highbury, we were winning world players in our team. We're winning World Cups or European Championships. Now we've got hardly anybody going to the World Cups or the European Championships, but we had players that were winning, not just being there, winning it, being involved in it. I remember '98, you had Bergkamp in a quarter-final, Vieira, Petit, and then there was the Fabregas, winning it for when he was playing for the Arsenal. Nowadays, like Henry winning it, and nowadays we're very lucky if we've got one or two going. I think we had the least represented players going to the Euros. It just shows where we are at this moment in time. We've neglected, you were talking about the stadium earlier on. We have neglected the stadium. We've neglected everything. We've neglected the squad. We've neglected the stadium. I'll tell you what we've also neglected. We've neglected the fans and what we believe in and whatever. And ultimately, you go to the game yesterday, £4.50 it was for a pint, by the way, the last time I went there. Now it's £5, £6, is it, or something like yesterday?
£6.20, mate, yeah.
£6.20. So it's gone up so much more money. Do you know what I mean? Come on. You know what I mean? They're expecting us to spend money all over the shop. But we're not getting it back, and unfortunately, Dan, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again. We're paying West End prices to watch a village show. That is what it is at the moment.
So where's the problem there, Lee? Because listen, we don't like Arteta, and I think we're both on that. I think that we know that he's not the man, and I think I would put my house on him being sacked this season. I don't know when it will be, but I can't see him lasting to the end of this season, right? So I think that will at one stage happen. So how much blame do we put on him, and how much blame do we put on the Cronkies? Like Turkish asked me a great question the other day, which I didn't want to answer in numbers or percentages, but I kind of give everybody a bit of a blame, really, 30, 30, 30, because...
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Is it the manager? Is it the board? Is it the owners? Is it all three of them? Or is it just the ownership, like a lot of people in the chat are saying, that this ownership has neglected this club, put a novice in charge, neglected the recruitment, not looked after the people that are at the club, allowed clowns to run it forward? I think the owners have got a lot to kind of look up to here, Lee.
Yes, they have. They have got a lot to answer for, and quite rightly so, because they're the ones that have put these people in charge. Listen, they've put very, very good people in charge of the marketing for the football kits and things like that. They've done a fantastic job on that, But ultimately, there's other things that they've neglected, and I'm not going to criticise the owners tenfold, because at the end of the day, money's been spent. But ultimately, they've got no experience. I just put this analogy to on another podcast I've just done. I don't know. I've got my own dry cleaning shop. I don't know how to press trousers. I don't know how to use a machine. I don't know how to do that sort of stuff. So what I have got is a man that knows what he's doing, and I put a man in that makes that run properly, and he does the job properly. He does it really, really well, and so big up to Paul. He does all of that for me. So, but if it's being done properly, when a person comes into the shop and these trousers are still dirty, or these haven't been pressed properly, or whatever, I know that I've got a problem. It don't happen because I've got a person in charge that knows what he's doing. And the fact of the matter is, it doesn't matter that the Cronkies don't know what they're doing, but get people in that know what they are doing. And if they're not doing that properly, then get rid. And I look at it now, and there's nothing personal against Mikel Arteta. I pay my money. I want to see my team coach, but I watch him, and I don't see that. So for me, the owners now need to do the right thing and just go, do you know what, Mikel? It's not quite worked, but I'm going to get in somebody on that. And do you know what they need to do now? They need to get the best person available for that job. Now, if that is Conte, they go and get him. If it might not be someone else, I don't know. But they cannot continue to keep making mistakes on their managerial appointments. That's two now that under their tenure at full time. Both have been failures, so they've got to make sure that they get the right one in. And when you look let's look at Chelsea. Chelsea were on the same points as us when they sacked Frank Lampard last season. More of a legend than Mikel Arteta, but they were ruthless. Because at the end of the day, as much as they loved him, he wasn't good enough. He wasn't good enough.
And that's what we
He
need our
might be in
owners to be
5 years'
now.
time, but he wasn't at this moment in time.
And listen, Mikel Arteta might be in 5 years' time when he's learnt his trade. We don't know yet, do we? That's all the unknown.
100%. 100%.
But what you got to look at is how ruthless are we going to be as ownership? And I don't think we will, because apparently, if the rumours are true, we interviewed Ancelotti, Allegri, we interviewed Vieira, Arteta, and they went for Mikel Arteta. They went for Unai Emery, but they liked Mikel Arteta back then. I think they liked him because he was a cheap option and he was a yes man and he was someone that they could use as a bit of a puppet. I honestly believe that the board and the ownership together had no Antonio Conte or Diego Simeone or Allegri, because they knew they'd say, right, I do it my way. I know how to win. You give me this platform. You give me this amount of money to improve this side and I'll win you something. And that was going to cost them too much money. I honestly believe that, Lee. I don't know if you do.
No, I don't. I don't, because I think that, as I've said, like, you're spending 30 million on a backup goalkeeper. If I was a manager of Ilk, I'm thinking, well, if they're prepared to spend that on a backup goalkeeper, they must have a bit of money. You know what I mean? Like, and at the end of the day, it ain't always about money. It's not always about money. As a manager, I would look at it if I was at Arsenal. If I was going to be a manager of Arsenal, what I would look at it, I would say, right, can I go in there? Can I improve these players? Well, hold on a minute. I've got some really good youngsters here for a start. So that would encourage me, right? So there's some good youngsters to work on, right? They must have a little bit of money, right? And I would go in there and I would say, well, I'm not saying I want millions and millions, but I want some money to strengthen that side. And I think if Arsenal had 2 or 3 players to that list, and I would make all these players around that better players, we could go on and do really, really well. That's how I would look at it. Like, I'm in that camp. I'm not saying that you're going to go on and do well, but I think it's a good, listen, Arsenal are at a low position. It's not like you're going in at the top, like the Chelsea managers had to, go in and he's got to get into top 4 straight away. You know what I mean? Like, this is, take your time, you've got a little bit of time to build and all that. But ultimately, if I was a top class manager, I think, do you know what? I'm going to get 2 years, 2 to 3 years, maybe at Arsenal if I'm doing well. I'm not going to get that at Chelsea. Even if, I'll be honest, if Chelsea were champions of Europe, as they were, say if they were lose to 5, 6, 7 games on the trot now, and then he'd be gone. So I feel there'd be a little bit of stability to my job as well, and I think they're big key things. But maybe I'm old school on that side of things, you know what I mean. But ultimately, there's a project you could build on there. Let's face it, Dan. He's gone 20 months and it's just gone down and down and down, and he's still there.
Yeah.
So I would think to myself, if I was doing better and better, they're going to love me, this ball, don't they?
Yeah, you're right, mate. And look, Bullseye said here, how about you talk about all the players that we have out? A fully fit squad, we should finish in the top 4. I'm going to answer that one. I honestly do not believe that he is too far wrong on paper. I do not think this team is going to be guaranteed to get into the top 4. I think that the top 4 is pretty much cemented. I think both the Manchester clubs, Liverpool and Chelsea, are definitely going to be in that top 4. You sometimes get a shock, but I really can't see it this season. But actually to compete, and I'm talking about to just miss out in 5th or even 6th place if we're both close enough to that top 4, I honestly do not think on paper we are as bad as what people make out. You cannot tell me that Aubameyang in one season has turned, as Troop said the other night to me, into Adi Akinbaye. This manager has turned him into a Yaya Sanogo figure. That's what he's done. Aubameyang, honestly, is being asked to come left wing back now when he was banging goals in left, right, centre under Emery, who had him on toast. He was absolute fire under Emery. So was Lacazette, the pair of them. Lacazette got player of the season. Aubameyang was our top scorer. Absolute brilliant from what we saw going forward from them. Now, I look at this side and I think Smith Rowe, Saka, Martinelli, Tierney, Gabriel, Partey, Ben White, who's just come in, who everyone's raving about. I think we've got some players that I look at now and think, should we really be in 19th at the moment? Should we really be looking at our season saying top half finish if we're lucky? Because I honestly do not see that side, Lee, and think that it's a bottom half side. I don't see it as a top 10 side. I don't see it as a top 8 side even. I honestly believe when I look, like you've just said, at West Ham, at Leicester, at Everton, that there's 4 or 5 players that I would probably have in the Arsenal side, 100% in all those teams. But there's not 11 or 12 that I'd have. That's for sure. I would have Arsenal's squad over most of those. I'd probably take Declan Rice from West Ham, Soufal. I like Soucek. Yeah, there's great players. I like some of Everton's players. I like some of Leicester's players. But as a squad of 20 or 25, I don't think we've got a worse 25 than Leicester, Everton, or West Ham. Now, people in the chat may disagree. You may disagree. But I honestly can sit there, hold my head up high and say, I think these players are nowhere near 8th, 9th, or 10th in this league. I honestly don't. But you know what, Lee? They're playing like it because they're not playing as a team under this manager. I've seen us fire under Emery. I've seen us score goals under Wenger. And some of those same players that have been scoring our goals, are no longer scoring. We haven't scored a goal yet, by the way. And if we don't score against Man City, our goal of the month is going to be from a training session, Lee. We're not going to have one. So we need to look at the creativity issues here, the strike force issues, creating chances and taking chances, because I didn't see many at the weekend.
And that's down to the manager. That's down to the coach. He's got to try and get the best out of those players, like, you know what I mean? And that's something that we've not been. We didn't address last season. We've had a transfer window, and we've not addressed it this season. We don't look like we're going to score goals. The game plan at the moment is to get the ball to Tierney, and he crosses it. But we haven't got no one that can head the ball. So the game plan has got to change. You've got to bring in. You've got good players in attacking areas. You know what I mean? Pepe is a talented player, but you've got to start using him and his strength and making him a better player. And I'm not seeing that. You know, who is the centre forward at this football club? One game it's Lacazette. Next game it's Aubameyang. Pick someone and go with it and be. What's the word? Believe in your decisions. You know, you've got a right back at the moment. Use the right, whoever that right back is. You know, if, for instance, you know, Chambers had a poor game. Yes, he did have a poor game, so he's dropped. But so did a lot of other players. But you believe in, you know, Tierney's had a bad game. He's had a bad game this week, but he won't be dropped, will he? Because he believes in Tierney. So, like, for my thing is now, pick your right back and believe who that right back is. And stick with it. You know, stick with your midfield players, stick with your midfield players and see what you're doing. And that's what you need to be doing, right? You know what I mean? So these are the things that need to be done. And I think they, as I say, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm strengthening the best midfield player we've got at the moment in the team is Lukonga. He looks a real player. But I guarantee he won't be playing once Partey's fit. You know what I mean? Like, you go back to a goalkeeper in Martinez, you know, played so well, you know, earned the right to have the shirt, but then it was taken away from him. You know, so there's certain things in there, like, you know, who are you going to drop now for Odegaard? Who's going to come in for Odegaard? Because you just spent 30 million on him. You know, you're going to have to play him. So who's going to come in? Who's going to be dropped? Pepe? Probably, because I think it will be Pepe. I think Smith Rowe will go to the right and Pepe and Odegaard in there. No, we want to get you've got to try and find a system where it gets Odegaard and Smith Rowe and Pepe and the more attacking players in the team, so that we look dangerous more when we've got the ball than when we haven't. And these are the things that have got to be done. You know what I mean? We're still crying out for a midfield player to go box to box. We're still crying out for that. We need someone to do that. We still need someone to I think, be a proper holding midfield player, Dan. I don't think we've got one. You know, what's Partey? What is his role? I look at Lukonga, I don't think that he is it, and certainly Xhaka's not. We need someone in there. You know, needed someone in that game yesterday to just sit in front of the back four and screen the play. And then dictate it from there.
Just put up. That's, I think, what we need. I honestly do. Basuma. I honestly do think that's who we need.
We didn't get him, did we? You know what I mean? Like, we didn't go and get him, and that's the thing that you have to say. I'm a bit. What is the game plan? You know what I mean? You turn around and said it. You know, there isn't really a game plan of the whole of the team from start to finish. You know.
You're right, mate. And I've listened. The transfer window's still open. A lot of rumours that our business isn't done. There's still a few faces coming in. They're talking about potential links with a right back, a centre forward, and a defensive midfielder. But Basuma is not one of the names that I'm hearing anyway. Certainly not in the links that you hear. Players coming out, Lee, as well. We'll just touch on. Looks like Willian is off to Brazil. Corinthians have made a bid that I believe has been accepted tonight, and Torreira looks to be off on his way to Fiorentina. So 2 more players out. Kolasinac looks like his contract's going going to be terminated. I don't think the deal to Fenerbahce or back to Germany is going to happen. So it looks like he is going to be removed from the club, which I think is a good deal. Eddie Nketiah being linked with Brighton and Crystal Palace. We want 20 million. Apparently 10 million has been offered by Crystal Palace, and Brighton were looking at trying to negotiate a deal because they rejected 20 million pounds. They offered him as part of the Ben White deal as well, from what I'm being told, but I don't know how much how much truth is in that rumour.
Just go for Bazuma then and get him in part of that deal.
Well, wouldn't that be nice, mate? Would that not be absolutely spot on? So there's a lot to still be done potentially. But let me ask you, Lee, before we start to wrap up, how much time has this manager got, in your opinion?
Well, I honestly think that Wednesday's a massive game. I do think that if we was to lose that, he's under immense pressure because I think a lot of people more have had a meltdown with the Brentford game than Chelsea because was maybe expected to beat Brentford, wasn't really expected to beat Chelsea. So I think if we was to lose to West Brom, it would be pressure. I think if we beat West Brom, I think there would be an acceptance to lose to Manchester City, to be honest. And then I think that if he was to lose to Norwich, I think then that if anything happens in the game against Norwich and Burnley, we didn't get 6 points from those games and then disaster struck against Spurs, I think that would be his lot, yeah.
So you think the North London derby is probably is end? I've said that from the start. I thought the first 6 games people were saying was harsh to only give him 6 games. It's not 6 games. He's had 18 months. Let's not forget that, people. We're not improving. We're not seeing progress. We're not seeing a style.
He's under immense pressure now. I think that he's under massive pressure because of what's been going on. I think he's under immense pressure. But I think he's going to find it very hard to navigate out of it with a defeat at home against Spurs.
Yeah, I think if we are going to be losing that game, that's the one where I think most fans will just say, no, that's not accepted at this club. I will accept losing football matches, but I do never, ever, and will never, ever accept losing that one. So I'm going to kind of agree with you that I think that could be the last game, but it could even be before that, Lee, if things go wrong Wednesday. If things go extremely wrong, which I think they're probably going to at the weekend against Manchester City, and if we do not win both of the Norwich and Burnley games, he might not even make it to the North London derby because the fan base won't accept it. If we don't take 3 points at home to Norwich, Lee, this fan base will not accept it, and it will become very, very toxic. We didn't see it that toxic against Chelsea, and I think, like you said earlier, most of the fans were really happy to be back into the ground and get back into the swing of things, the social and stuff like that. I don't think once we've done that a few times that it will be like that. And I think that Norwich is a massive, massive game for Mikel Arteta because I think he'll get to that game. I don't think he should. I think he should go now, personally. That's just my personal opinion. And we get somebody who can take us forward. And the other thing people will say is you can't sack him now because we're signing players. You can sack him now because you can get the players in who you think, as Edu and V9, whoever does our recruitment, believe is going to take us forward. And you get the manager to pick them up, just like Thomas Tuchel did when Frank Lampard left. So I believe you can still sign players if you believe Arteta is not the man, because you're signing players for the future. You're not signing for Mikel Arteta. You're signing them for the future of this club because you don't know when Mikel Arteta is going to be here. And if you think he's only got 6 months, you're not signing players for 6 months. You're signing them hopefully for the next 3-4 years. So I think Norwich is the game for me where it's going to get very toxic if we lose that game. Now, I need to see a style of football. I need to see progress. And if we do not see that, Lee, then I honestly believe that it is so, so, so important that we make the decision early because I don't want to trust him till Christmas, trust him till January. I don't want any of that again. The season is done by then. We've already proven that last season. Yeah, we went apparently on an amazing run from Christmas, still only come 8th. The season was already over. We cannot allow that to happen again, Lee. So before we wrap up, I just want to ask you your actual predictions going into Wednesday night in terms of team news and in terms of result. What do you reckon it's going to be against West Brom, mate?
I honestly think that West Brom will make these changes. I really do, because I think it's more important that they get out of the Championship and get promoted back into the Premier League. So I think that they will rest players and that will suit us. If they weren't to rest players and played their normal team, we're in trouble but I think that they won't, and I think Arsenal will win maybe 2-1, 3-1.
Fair play. I'm going to give my prediction. I do think we're going to win because I think we have to win in this competition. I am going to go for a 2-1 Arsenal win. I do see some rotation, though, Lee. I do see some rotation. I don't think it's going to be the strongest side that we put out. But I think the team are going to need a lift, and I think they're going to want to try and progress in this competition. So I'm going to go for a win because I feel like we have to. So I'll go for a 2-1. Lee, it's been a pleasure, mate, as always.
Yeah, enjoyed that. Always good.
Never positive after a loss.
No,
mate, but,
unfortunately not. Unfortunately
got
not.
to try and be realistic, ain't we?
We need a bit. We need a. You know, since the season started, everybody was saying, "Oh, like, you know, I'm looking forward to the season started." I knew what was coming, and hopefully now, like, we can actually get a bit of positivity and all that, like, you know what I mean? So, listen, I'm a bit down at the moment with the football and all that, and I've got to say this: I had a massive late night last night. I had to be up early this morning, like, you know what I mean? So, I am struggling on the old.
Time for bed, mate. Time for bed.
It is time for bed. I've had a real, you know, I had to be up early, like, doing a show, and I've had to, and I had a late night last night on that old sheesh. Whoa, I don't know if I like that, like, the old pipe. Oh, it's gone right, went right to my head then.
Don't mind a shish kebab, mate, but not a
sheesh. Yeah, chicken sheesh, much better than the smoky sheesh, definitely. Like, you know what I mean? So, hopefully, I'll be back on Thursday, like, you know, and hopefully, like, Arsenal get a win as well, like, you know. And I think that's what we need now. Arsenal, we need a boost. Come on, we can't keep being punched and kicked, can we? We need something. We need to fight back. Come on, Arsenal, we need to fight back. We need it. We please fight back.
Absolutely. Guys, thank you all so much for watching. Over 1,000 if you're watching live. Absolutely amazing for you guys to come back. Please smash a like on the video and hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so already, and the notifications so you know when we're going to be back. We're going to be off for a couple of days. We'll be back on Thursday night. Myself, Lee Judges, Kevin Campbell and Boovy, Man City fan, will be here to talk Arsenal Man City, and we'll have a little bit of reaction from the West Brom game, which we hope will still be in the League Cup for. But until then, guys, you take care and we'll see you next time.